Moving up in your career. As you guys probably know, this is such a loaded topic, but I actually thought it'd be super cool to try to make a video out of this to at least get this conversation started. Hey guys, my name is Jessica, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Uprise. And in my career, I've had so many learnings, so many mistakes that I've made, sort of starting off as a junior analyst and growing my career to then seeing the flip side of it, becoming a hiring manager, then the head of a department, and now founder and CEO. And so I wanted to use this video as an opportunity to share some of those learnings that I've had. And obviously won't be able to get to everything, but I wanted to try to pull out some of those biggest themes that I've seen across all of the roles that I've held, across industries, across levels, across roles. Really quick background so you guys know where I'm coming from. I started off my career after school on Wall Street as pretty much an investment monkey. And after a couple of years, transitioned into tech and haven't looked back since. So I've worked at eBay, Amazon, Wise, which is international money transfer, Earnin, which gives you early access to your pay, and Robinhood, which I'm sure you guys know is stock trading. So jumping into it, 3 observations that I've had on how to stand out and move up in your career. The first one, and maybe most important one, is that the best careers seem to be not about the things that you would expect. So they're not about money, they're not about titles, they're not about power, but they're actually about learning. And when I say learning, I mean all different aspects of it. So for example, when you're applying for jobs and picking which jobs to apply for, are you picking the jobs that are going to maximize your learning? Are you picking the jobs where you're excited by the sheer challenge of the role? Are you picking the jobs where you feel kind of nervous about applying for it and thinking that, hey, maybe you might be underqualified? That's the exact right feeling to be having. Once you're on the job, do you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose? Do you feel like you're learning something new every single day? Or on those slow days where you're not learning as much, are you speaking up and asking to take on new areas? Or are you taking on side courses to keep that learning curve steep? Basically, it comes down to a mindset of learning. Learning doesn't end when we graduate from college. In fact, that's when it begins. We have the opportunity now, though, to be more in control of what it is that we're learning. And if you go into jobs where you're excited about what you're going to learn from the job, if you're excited about who you're going to learn from, then that will never take you wrong. And practically, what ends up happening is that, that energy and that enthusiasm shines through to your bosses, to your colleagues, and it's to those people that the biggest company projects are given to, and it's to those people who then also get the promotions. And I also wanted to point out on the flip side of this, because inevitably there will be jobs that actually don't work out, that aren't the right fit. I've definitely had it happen to me. And it's the people who are able to treat those experiences as learning opportunities. Those are the people who are able to pick themselves up and keep pushing forward, keep making an impact on their careers. The second point is that the best careers are all about solutions. If there's one thing that's true about humankind, it's that we love to complain. You know it's true. I've been a manager for long enough to know that the best managers spend at least a quarter of their time, likely more, just acting as therapy for their team members, as a safe place to vent. And I'll be the first to say that I'm a big complainer myself. Here are some examples of complaints that I've had about previous jobs. So the pay here sucks. It's lower than all the other tech companies. My team needs design help, but the design team doesn't have capacity and isn't prioritizing us. The company is growing really fast, and what used to be a very flat and level organization now is starting to feel really hierarchical. And the people who stand out, the ones who move up in their careers, it's not that they don't complain. Obviously, they complain. It's that they also come up with solutions. Earlier in my career, I was an observer in a conversation where one person was saying how the coffee machine in the office was not working, and the other person said something I'll never forget. The other person basically said, "Why don't you go and fix it?" This one line shifted my mindset entirely, because in every single job, every single company, there will inevitably be problems to solve, inevitably be things that could be improved on. And it's about not just noticing those problems, but also coming up with solutions and taking initiative to be that person who fixes things. So you might be saying, well, fixing a coffee machine is not really in my job description. I don't know how to fix a coffee machine. That's BS. Of course you do. Maybe the reason the coffee machine is down is because, the office manager has been really busy, really backed up, and hasn't gotten around to calling up the coffee repair person. In that case, having a chat with the office manager and offering to call up the coffee repair person may be something that you could do. You could even YouTube and figure out, how to fix this brand of coffee machine. Or worst case scenario, you could bring in a coffee machine from home as a stopgap in the meantime. There are always things that you could do. In my case, I mentioned that there was a time when I really needed design support for my team. I had met with the design manager a couple of times and no luck there. And it was super, super frustrating. So the third time I went back to the design manager and I actually offered to help him hire. If the challenge was, the design team doesn't have enough capacity, maybe I could offer up my time to go and search on LinkedIn, to reach out to people and see if any of them would be interested in joining the team. And he was absolutely excited to take me up on my offer, because the thing that he really needed more of was more designers, more time to find designers. And so that's what I did. Spent a bunch of time reaching out to designers, and not that long afterwards, we were able to hire somebody. And the last point that I'll make in this video is that the best careers are all about people. It's about who you know. Earlier in my career, this advice would make me cringe. I'm an introvert, and as a kid, I used to be so shy. And so when people around me, especially my mom, would say things like, hey, you need to be an extrovert in order to be successful, I'd have nightmares. This whole thing about who you know, it's both true and not true. The part that's not true. So the book called Never Eat Lunch Alone? I've never read the book, but I figure that the book is probably about never eating lunch alone. And just knowing the title of this book would make me feel so guilty, and also really uncomfortable with the fact that, in order to do well in your career, you'd have to be some kind of sleazy salesperson angling to be friends with your boss's boss in order to get ahead. Well, I never got around to doing that. As you could probably guess, I ate a lot of lunches alone. But that said, I still think it is about people. And I mean it in the way where it's about making friends with no ulterior motive. One of the biggest turning points for me was Harvard Business School. Business school was so fun. I think I did some studying, but I also spent a lot of time traveling to Iceland, to Israel. I spent a lot of time doing group projects and going to friends' birthday parties and going out clubbing and things like that. And I made friends, and I was genuine in those interactions because I had no reason not to be. And the cool thing is that, as we graduated, we all went on to do really interesting things with our careers. And over time, I realized, that this amazing group of friends also is a really good resource. If I'm struggling with something related to marketing, I could reach out to one of them. Or if I'm struggling with something related to HR, I could reach out to somebody there. And even if this group of friends doesn't know the exact answer, they probably know somebody else who does. And none of this feels weird or daunting because these are friends. Not everyone goes to business school, I know, but the same is true for the jobs that I've been in and the other communities that I've been in as well. So I call on friends for my time on Wall Street as much as I call on friends for my time at Robinhood. So here's what I'm telling you to do. Make friends. Be authentic, be humble. Remember that the junior person on the team is as valuable to know as the most senior person on the team. And if you do that, then you'll be just fine. And that's it. There's a ton more that I could say on this topic, but I didn't want this video to get out of control. So if you guys have more questions about careers or want us to do another video like this one, leave us a comment. Would love to hear from you guys. Also, make sure to sign up for Uprise. I've included a link to our website in the description below as well. We make Wall Street level personalized financial plans completely and 100% for free. So if you have questions about investing, budgeting, retirement, whatever it is, we'd be happy to help. And on average, we've put $100K in net worth back into people's pockets. Other than that, if you got value out of this video, please give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and click the bell for notifications. See you guys next time.